Welcome back, everyone. Bree and I are joined by like the best guest ever, the one and only Emilie Leclerc, who gave us the infamous Izadora. Thank you. We can't thank you enough. Like, words don't express how happy we are that you're here with us. Thank you so, so much.
Well,
We're so
thank you for
excited.
having me. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, so it took 4 whole episodes for us to finally get introduced to Izadora in season 1. And since then, she's become an important character in Motherland. How much did you know about her character arc when you were first cast?
I actually got a little bit emotional knowing that the finale's coming up. So I actually went back in my emails and checked, and my audition for Isadora was on May 17th, 2019, and the character
Wow.
description goes as follow. Um, a tall woman with a warm maternal force. She's an immensely powerful witch, a necro teacher who's been summoned to restore life to a dead youth so that she can bear witness about the matter of his death. So the casting was like, she needs to be warm but commanding, maternal despite how morbid her job is. So she's conjuring the dead is like normal for her, but you know that it's going to be really intense for the young necro students to be there with you at that moment. So yeah, that was the character
That's
description.
really cool. Thank you for
Oh
reading that
my
and
God.
sharing it.
Yes. You nailed it.
Yeah, so I mean that's all we knew at that moment. It was an estimate of 3 episodes at the beginning in season one when I got cast, and then I think it was maybe a right fit for the creators, and maybe they were looking for that kind of energy to continue being part of the ensemble. So it just, she continued reappearing, and every season I think she started expanding more and more. So what a gift! What a gift! Yeah.
It was a gift to us too.
Yeah, no, seriously, it really was. Like, she starts like becoming so integral to everything. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's been so nice for an actor also to play, because there's this whole section of being a scientist and life and death cycle, but also she did some pretty intense scenes, like in season 2, the gas chamber scene
Mm-hmm.
where she's tricking Abigail and Rael, and then like the whole interaction with the mycelium, and then this latest episode that was released on Tuesday, where she actually like goes in like full combat mode. So yeah, I feel like we've seen so many different colors of her, like so many different sides. So that has been like quite a gift to have. Yeah, and to play.
Can I ask, what was the combat scene like? It looked so intense and it was gorgeous. Like, what was that like?
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah, I posted about this today. I actually, I'm somebody that like, I like moving and training, and a lot of some of the theater creations that I have done in the past involve a lot of movement. So I was kind of like crossing my fingers for the opportunity to be in a fight sequence. And I happened to say that to one of the producers, like while on set in season 2. And then I immediately regretted it, because I was like, I don't want them to think that I'm not grateful for what they're giving me. Like, already I have so much and I'm so grateful. But I just like, it just happened and I just mentioned it. And then like, what a gift this season to, be invited to do this fight. And was intense, because
Yeah.
I went to set, I think on Tuesday or Monday afternoon. I worked with professional like stunt people and stunt artists and choreographers for about 2.5 hours in the afternoon, and then I was on set the morning after at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning. So I had not a lot of time to actually work on my
Whoa.
segments. Yeah. But I think luckily I had done a lot of movement, and in on stage and theater, and then it was kind of the set became kind of a stage in a sense, because it was like so big and so much distance to to use. So yeah, it was wonderful. So the stunt coordinator Reese, they taught me four little segments of the fight. They were each maybe 8 to 16 beats, and then the rest. So when the camera is from further away, it's an actual body double, a woman who's an actual like athlete, and she's like a martial artist, like professionally. So she's the one handling all the like the big hand on hand sequence, and whenever the frame is closer, then that's me. Yeah. Yeah, but it was wonderful to do. I had so much fun. I was so nervous, but I was surrounded by a dream team, so it was just like a beautiful day. Yeah. It was a beautiful day, and now that the episode has been released, I can you know that at the end Isadora is in a pool of blood, and so that I wasn't expecting to I wasn't expecting that moment to hit me so much because I was so excited just to fight. And then, it's like late in the day, and all of a sudden I'm like in a pool of blood and I can't move because we're turning cameras around. So I'm laying there for at least a half hour with like, and like, it was very, very intense. I'm very lucky. A couple of people came and held my hand and made sure I felt safe. But I was extremely vulnerable to be in a position of such vulnerability, like lying in a pool of blood, you know? And yeah, it took my nervous system a couple of days just to come back to being quote unquote normal after that.
I bet.
It was so demanding, but
Sure.
at the same time, like so beautiful. And yeah, anyways, it was great. It was such a good day. And like I was just trying to make sure I would do a good job. I forgot to take a photo with like the stunt people because I was just so nervous and just trying to do it. But I'll never forget that day. It was a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, very intense, very wonderful.
That one tear that goes down your face,
my
like
God.
when you're laying in the pool of blood.
Man. Whew.
We were not okay.
No.
No, well, Isadora is not okay either because she knows that curse is going to the mother, right?
Yeah.
And the mycelium is means so much to her, like, and so much to the world and to Fort Salem. So, yeah, it's a very vulnerable moment, and I think in that moment, Isadora is angry because she's angry and sad, and like her physical body cannot anymore fight, but like she's disappointed that she was not able to get the better of Hurst in that moment for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for explaining that.
Well, yeah,
We'll
you're
move on.
welcome.
We'll move on to something a little bit happier, maybe. So
Oh, sure.
we have a segment we talked off screen that we love Izadora, and we have a whole segment on our podcast where we just talk about her like every episode, and we talk about like what she's doing off screen because she should be on the screen more. So we're curious. So now that you're here, maybe you can answer the question: What does Izadora have hobbies? Like, what does she do?
Yeah, I think I'm right now. I'm like looking at a photo of the bark of a tree that I took, and I'm like, well, that's totally Isadora to go in the wilderness and like take, I don't know. Well, I took this photo of a tree trunk when I was in. I changed the color palette, but like I was in Australia and I was like looking at the bark and I was like, this is so beautiful. And then it became a thing, right? So I think Isadora is also a lover of the forest and the natural world, and it inspires her creativity. I think Isadora is more of a watercolor kind of person because of how meticulous that art form is. Um, yeah, and then she's kind of, I think she's very happy. Well, not happy, but I think she's a bit more of an introvert. So I think she can have friendships and like, but I think she does best in like one on one or small groups of friends. So I'm imagining maybe like playing chess with somebody while like sipping on bourbon, I think could be
Yes.
her. Did you guess it?
Yes, because there's scenes where she's like hanging out with Petra, just drinking whiskey, and like there's
Yeah.
chessboards in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I
I
love
think
it.
that's her. But
Yeah.
I totally think that Isadora as a child was definitely that child who would come back with like pockets full of rocks and like wildflowers and stuff like that. And then, so I think, yeah, that grew into her becoming a scientist and interested in the natural world. And
Yes.
we were so lucky on set because like Isadora's office was filled with jars with like dried up mushrooms
Hmm.
and like dried up herbs and like little pieces of skull and stuff like that. So yeah, that's Isadora, definitely.
We have like a whole head canon where Isadora has these assistants and her lab assistants, and it's like their job to like catalog all of her like things that
Discoveries.
she collects, discoveries, and the things she collects, and they're just so we love like it kind of works with our head canon about Isadora's assistants.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure she did that work as a young apprentice before stepping into that role of being like, the head teacher of the necro department. But definitely, yeah.
Do you think she has favorite students?
Well, I think she's careful about who she, who who gets really close to her. I think she's a really great teacher in the fact that she recognizes everybody's value and doesn't want to have like, obvious favorites. But yeah, I think in season three, I mean, she's not really a student, but there's a kindness and a, and a something happening with Penelope as she's becoming almost, I don't want to say, I think Isadora is really maternal, and then she takes on Penelope as, yes, a scientific project, but a little bit more than that as well, on a personal level. So, yeah, and I think in previous seasons, in season two, it was probably Raelle for, the fact that she was not a regular one of my regular necro students. She was a little bit outside of the box, and I had to try to, I don't want to say contain her because I never was able to, but
See, I
yeah.
always wondered if she had any kind of relationship with Scylla, and then when she was like came into the interrogation thing, was like disappointed that one of her students, good students, was like now a spree agent.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think yeah, I would be curious to have more to have seen more scenes between Isadora and Scylla, and
Yeah.
what that necro world is like. Um, yeah, so yeah, perhaps we can all imagine that if we want.
All right, so if you had to guess, what would you say Isadora's IQ is?
Okay, so I'm not super familiar with like with the numbers and but I think she's like on an Albert Einstein's level probably,
Heck
Hmm.
yeah.
or
Yes.
more, like as
Hmm.
somebody who is very very scientifically smart, but yeah, I feel like she's also good at math and stuff like that, so probably, Albert Einstein's level plus.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
thinking.
couldn't agree more. And in the show, I think because of that, she's constantly given these like Herculean tasks. Like there's always like this impossible thing, and they're like, well, Isadora will do it. And so I'm just curious, and she does it. And so I'm just curious, is there anything Isadora can't do or she struggles with? Because we never see her struggling on the show.
Yeah, I don't think, not anything that has to do with science or solving issues, but I think what Isadora maybe is not great at is like, I don't think she has a relaxed charisma about her. So when she's not in her environment or with people that she knows, I don't think she's a good like entertainer. I don't think she's got what like Cara Brandt has of being able to be so like, she's just so relaxed, charismatic, seductive, witty. Like I don't think Isadora is a bit more, she's a bit more introverted, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So like, or even thinking about what Rael did in the last episode, like this beautiful song playing guitar by the fire. I don't think that's something that Isadora could do, even although I'm imagining her playing a fugue on the cello. You know what I mean? Like so
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like that like a Bach a fugue on the cello. So that's what I'm imagining. But I don't think she's great at being cool.
She's plenty cool.
Like
She's she doesn't move easily in groups of people in a like a social aspect.
Yeah, and like
Mhm.
and I think that makes sense. A lot of the big group scenes, like the graduation in season one, she wasn't there. The big wedding this season, she wasn't there. I mean, she was busy doing something else, but like,
Always.
yeah. So I think she's just happy in her lab.
Yeah.
We was like, did she even get invited to the weddings?
I
Because neither of
know.
the weddings. She wasn't at
Neither.
either of the weddings. We're like, where's Isadora?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I thought about that too, and then I'm like, I think Isadora is the kind of person who's like, work fills her so much. It makes her so happy that the idea. Like, I think she likes people, obviously, but like, I think she's just as happy. Um, and also she has a good sense of duty. So somebody has to stay at Fort Salem. Somebody has to look after Penelope. Now, is that an excuse because she's like a little bit shy and has social anxiety? I don't know, but maybe there's a bit of that. But I really think she's like duty first, like Penelope first, keeping her safe. And I think Isadora is probably the only person who can get through to Penelope at this point. So I wouldn't want Penelope to not feel safe if I go away to a wedding. So if Isadora, sorry, I said I, but I meant Isadora. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Isadora seems to have a fascination or a reverence for the mycelium. How would she describe her relationship with the mother?
I think the relationship to the mother is similar to anybody's personal spirituality or relationship to whatever God they pray to, or the light, the creator, or this sense of otherness that maybe there may be a power greater than out there. So I think that's what it is. It's something that you don't really understand, but that she believes in. And she also has a physical entity in front of her there. So I think that's what it is. It's just kind of a relationship to somebody's like somebody's spirituality, I think.
Makes sense.
I love
Absolutely.
that. So you mentioned, I mean, one of the big things in season 3 that was very different with her storyline is the Penelope storyline, where she's kind of like stepping into this more like one-on-one caretaking role. And so what was that like for Isadora to like do that?
I think it was very comfortable. I think Isadora is craving to feel useful on a human level. I don't think she has a partner or children of her own. So like, I think, yeah, I think it was really comfortable for her to be like, this is going to become my new project. And like, she's going to, work on it day and night if she has to. Um, yeah. So, and I think it's kind of in season 2, we see that she has that relationship with the mycelium, um, which, I think she gets bruised a little bit with the fact that the mycelium chooses Rael over her. And then she, it's kind of like, okay, well, what's the next, what's the next project or entity that needs my care, and also she's fascinated by what's happening to, so it's not just about like she needs she needs somebody to love. Like I think it's also the fascination of the scientific fascination of how we were able to bring Penelope back and now trying to bring her back to being fully human. So yeah, so there's that as well. It's like fascinating. It's fascinating on a scientific level, probably more so than on a she needs me. I think it's like wow, let's bring her back to being human. Yeah.
It's not every day you reconstitute a whole human being.
From raindrops
The atmosphere.
From weather. And I love that it showcases like her curiosity, like you're saying, from like a scientific perspective, but also like her just patience. Like a lot of those scenes are just like her being super patient, like with Penelope, who's like struggling with this whole thing. It's just they're wonderful scenes.
Yeah. And also I'm recognizing that being a scientist is like patience,
Yes.
because like sometimes your years to like be testing one thing, and then it can take years before you actually see results, or it can take years before you can make conclusions on your experiment, which could last for years. So I think, yeah, I think I'm learning that being a scientist is not as instant as like making a volcano like when we're kids. Like it's like being a real scientist takes a lot of time because you have to enter data over multiple. Yeah. So yeah, I think that makes sense for her to be that patient.
Unless you're Izadora and you
Absolutely.
can make a vaccine in
Yeah.
3 episodes.
3 episodes.
Right?
She's the best.
She's the
Yes.
best.
She's the best. This is why.
She's pretty cool.
She is.
So one of the aspects in season 3 that we're really enjoying seeing are scenes with you and Kat, who plays Petra. So what is it like for Izadora to work with Petra as her new boss versus Alder?
Well, I think Isadora knows that after Alder is stepping down, that Petra is the best choice for us. I think she knows that Petra is smart, she's capable, she's the logical choice. And I think Isadora and Petra have a healthy relationship, before she steps into those shoes. So I think she's happy to see her colleague step into that new role. Yeah, I think for Isadora, her relationship with Alder is a bit more. Um, there's a bit more. How do you say that? Like veneration almost for Alder, like a lot of respect. But I think she's closer to Petra, in a more maybe friendship way. Though she is, we do see that relationship with Alder in season 2 too. So yeah, I think it's new, and Isadora is adaptable, and
Mhm.
she knows that Petra is good for the for she's the next best option for the army. Yeah, and in the first episode in season 3, it starts with them like walking the grounds of Motherland, Fort Salem together, of Fort Salem together. So I feel like Petra recognizes Isadora's value as a
Yes.
scientist. So I feel like there's a lot of mutual respect there for sure, and it's just like we're gonna work on this. We're in this together. Yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, that definitely comes through because they do like a lot of check-ins together, almost like, hey, we're a team in this versus like you're my subordinate. That definitely comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So speaking of Petra, we had the pleasure of speaking to like Kat recently, and she one of the things she shared with us was like her routine to like become Petra. Like a big thing for her was like putting on her uniform, and she's like, that helps me become Petra. So we're kind of wondering, what helps you become Izadora? Do you have like a process or anything that kind of helps you get into her character?
Yeah, so I think there's preparation before getting to set for somebody who's quite new to TV. Like I would spend a lot of time like rereading the episodes and like trying to understand like all the different worlds and like analyzing my script. And I would get accent coachings too to make sure that I sounded as American as I could. And like I would practice. Well, I'm a little bit intense. I recognize that. But because I'm new to the medium of camera, I would actually just practice at home with my camera and make decisions so that I was so prepared so that the day I would get on set, it was just like playtime. It was just like so ready. I was so ready. I had analyzed everything through so many different lenses, so many different ways that it was just, I was able to just like have fun. And then whatever the director had in mind or whatever the other actors were giving to me in that moment, then you can just be. So I think there's a lot of preparation that goes into before getting to set for me at this point in my career anyways. And then when I got to set, yeah, it was a celebration, like, getting makeup and hair done by the same artists, and then going to my trailer. And the costume is actually very important to me too, because it gives you the posture of how the character is going to move and what I'm going to be doing with my hands and stuff like that. So I think everybody's work just like helped me. Everybody's work, it's really a collective, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's like amazing, like costume design and then the hair and the makeup. And then I would go to my trailer and just like try to relax and work on really being present vocally and just doing a lot of breathing exercise. I was also working with somebody who was teaching me a little bit of white crane kung fu. So like I would try to do those things in my trailer just to get connected to my body and my voice. And then it's playtime. Then you go to set and you just play. It's so much fun. Can't wait to do it again for another project, but I can't wait to, have that chance. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that so much.
It sounds like a very Izadora approach.
Yes, it really does. Very analytical. And
so they casted well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We actually just spoke with Tracy. So
yeah, from costumes.
Oh, so
wonderful. Yeah, they redid my lab coat for season 3, and it was just so beautiful and perfectly tailored.
Yes.
I actually bought it at the end of this. I was like, I just probably never going to use this again. Like a white lab coat. I mean, I'm not going to, walk down the streets wearing a white lab coat, but I just couldn't imagine anybody else wearing it.
It's a piece of your history.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm bringing this lab coat home.
I imagine Izadora had a lot of education to get to that point where she got to wear that really fabulous lab coat, so might as well.
Exactly.
As somebody who works in medicine and had to go through white coat ceremonies, it really is like the thing you like work towards, and then when you have it, you're like, yeah. So I'm glad you got that.
Exactly. We both went through that whole process.
So you both work in medicine?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Wow. We should have talked before. You could have given me that.
See, here's the thing.
Playing a scientist again.
In the podcast, we each have our like little sections because Theora is an infectious disease pharmacist. And I work in surgery.
Yes.
So anytime Izadora was doing like autopsy stuff, I would be like, listen, girl, from a surgical perspective. No, I'm just kidding.
Tell me what I did wrong, please. So in season 2, when I had to like, what was it? Like I was like, there was a body. I was cutting it. Like I was looking on YouTube because I was like, I need to understand what I'm going to be looking at and doing. But I mean, it's, it's, you don't see open chest surgeries like this on YouTube. It's
No.
not like legal probably to,
No.
upload that kind of content online, obviously for obvious reasons. So I found some stuff that came from, anyways, other places that I was like, okay, that's interesting, looking at brains and stuff like that. But yeah. So tell me, did I do my homework?
No,
Okay.
rest assured, you did
did
amazing.
great.
The only things that I even saw from like surgery stuff were things that no one would know unless they worked
No.
in the field. So
Okay.
it would be like, well, that retractor is actually used for a different thing or something like that. So no,
The type
you
of
did
scalpel.
wonderfully. The
Yeah,
type
you
of
did.
scalpel, the blade on the scalpel, it's just little stuff, tiny stuff.
Okay. And for you to have a vaccine developed in like 3 episodes,
I was blown away. I was like, where were you during COVID? Where was Isadora during COVID?
well, our art talks about life usually. Yeah. I feel like Motherland creates for the. Well, I don't know. I can't. I shouldn't talk for them, but I'm sure like there are some stuff in Motherland that it is the creators wishing that would have
Totally.
happened in real life. Like yeah.
It's science plus magic. So we can do this in a month versus a year. We got
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, if only we had the witch's work in the real world.
Yeah, I know.
Oh well. Okay, so what's one important thing you've taken away from your time on Motherland or something you've learned playing Izadora?
So much. I just don't know how to sum it up. I think like again, I was really new to the world of TV before, so I've learned about being on set and like also yeah, I learned how to deal with changes, learn how to deal with like in when you do a play, you know where the character is going. Often, you know the arc that you gonna have to play. But when you get cast as a character on TV, you don't know what's gonna happen. So that was a really nice thing to learn and to experience. Also learn how working with amazing artists and collaborator makes amazing art. I know that sounds like so like I'm talking about roses in the field, but like it's so sorry.
No,
I think
No, we love it.
We love
I
It
it.
just
makes
like
yeah.
I had such a positive experience. Um, Everybody was so generous and kind and professional, and people were listening also to other people's needs, like top-notch professionals, but top-notch human beings. And I just I like the first season I felt like, oh, like what do I do? Am I in my place? So I would like be very quiet and like try to do a good job and observe and learn from observing. And then as the seasons grew and I got more comfortable and I was like, well, they keep writing Izadora in, I might be doing something okay. So like I gained a little bit more confidence, and then I was a little bit more comfortable being myself and like interacting with other people. And yeah, just like I'm really taking this big first experience, and it's really close to my heart. And like the next projects I'll be working on, I want to be somebody who helps create that really healthy, accepting environment that I was a part of, because I felt very accepted for who I was, um, respected. I felt like yeah, and it was challenging as well, like in a positive way. Like so, yeah, I just learned a lot about the kind of actor I want to be for others moving forward into the projects I'll be taking on. Yeah, so that's something that I learned for sure. And yeah, just gaining confidence really is a big one for me. Yeah.
Imagine so.
I love that so much. We've talked to like quite a few people that have, cast members from the show and crew members, and that really seems to be something really consistent that everybody says was just the environment and how like collaborative it really was, like you're saying. And so it's really wonderful to hear that. It seems like that's very a special part
Yeah.
of like this project.
And I feel like in those kinds of projects, it has a trickle down effect. So
Totally.
if the executive producers and the leads in a show are examples of being genuine and giving and loving, they're going to make everybody else who is a secondary character or just a day player come in for the day and feel good. So, like, it really, so I just really feel like people were there because they love the craft and they love the story that we are telling with this show, loving the representation, loving the universe that is created. And so yeah, and so I really do believe that. I do believe that even if one day I'm in a position of more power, let's say, like as a producer or like a lead on a show or something, that I really want to be an example of how important it is to, to be a great leader and be so kind and just be yourself. And yeah, and just, yeah. So anyways, that was my roses in the field moment.
Listen, we're also writers, so
I
we get it. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. So this is the part in the podcast where we're going to invite producer Kaitlynn back, who has some
Okay.
questions for you.
Sure.
So this is my favorite part of the podcast because I like to do a lot of research about who we're going to interview and then dig really deep down and find some stuff. So your resume is very extensive and impressive. What is something you can do, a talent, skill, or random fact that people would be surprised to learn about you?
I feel like you're fishing because you want me to say that I twirled fire in the past. Is that it?
No.
That was actually not it.
No.
I think I vaguely remember that.
Oh, yeah. It's not on my resume anymore. Haven't done it for 10 years. I don't want to set any houses on fire. But it is something that I did in my 20s when I was backpacking. Backpacking in Australia, Thailand, the kind of thing that people would do back then, like poi twirling, and setting them on fire. I took Mandarin in university before I went to acting school. So, a little bit of Mandarin, and I'm fluent Spanish speaker and French speaker as well. What else? What else do I do? I don't know.
A lot.
A lot, yeah. Can you imagine?
Kaitlynn might know more about you than you do, I guess.
Well, I went to. Oh, okay. You want me to say that I went to clown school because I did, but I don't think I'm funny, so I don't want it.
I was trying to figure out what that meant. I was Googling everything. I was like,
Okay,
I need to know more about this.
Okay, I'll tell you. I did a 5-week intensive at École Philippe Gaulier in Paris, France, in 2010, I think. And I took a bouffon intensive and a clown intensive. So, it was kind of clown school. It really was. It was after I graduated from Studio 58, which is like a 3-year conservatory type training program. So it was just like a summer intensive focused on physical theater. I did create a clown show after with a friend, and then I did play Lucy and Charlie Brown a couple of times. So it kind of was kind of helped me out there with that kind of training. But it's so different from. I feel like the older I'm getting, I went from starting with really bigger musical theater, physical theater things. And then like slowly I'm making my way to the world of TV, which is like way more close-ups and less broad. But it is useful, I think, to have that kind of in my back pocket. And and then when when we only had a couple of hours to learn the fight sequence, then that training of being in tune with your physicality kind of comes in handy, you know? So it's just something else to add to your toolbox as an actor.
Could you imagine Izadora trying to do that workshop?
That clown workshop? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Maybe. I think she would be a great like white clown, like just really awkward.
Yes.
Um
Not
yeah,
mine.
probably. Yeah.
We could have Isadora the mime.
Yeah. Is that
love
what you
it.
were fishing for?
I wasn't fishing for anything.
No.
I really wanted to
Okay.
know as much as possible, but I mean, I did find a lot. I was enjoying my research.
Oh, cool.
So we notice, and you've commented on it a little bit, that you've done a lot of theater in the past and are stepping into film. And so, do you have a preference between the mediums between the two?
Hmm. Yeah, I think at this point I'm just interested in like portraying amazing, strong female characters, whatever medium it's on. I am. I don't. I want to say like I'm not done being challenged by the medium of camera right now. I'm just starting. And I feel like I have so much more to learn. And yeah, I'm looking forward to expand that. And Isadora was what a gift. But like I'm kind of curious to see like who else I can be on screen, you know. So
Totally.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I think like for the next little while, that's what I'm going to focus on, just auditioning and seeing where that takes me. But if a play comes along and it's a character that I feel that I want to portray and the right project with the right people, obviously I'd say yes. Yeah.
I love that.
So, do you have a favorite production that you've worked on?
Um, I've worked a lot with a professional francophone theater company in Vancouver. I think I did like 9 plays with them. And I did a play that's called Unité Modèle. It's a script by Quebec author Guillaume Corbeil, and it talks about gentrification and our relationship to image in relationship to our patterns of consumerism. So it's like super cool play, super smart. It's a two-hander. And it really, yeah, it's challenging that notion of humans being seen as consumers and how we are in the world in regards to the stuff we have and our relationship to debt as well, and what happens when all of that crumbles. So that was a very challenging, smart play to do, and it was again a two-hander, which I did with one of my really dear friend Vincent. So and I was directed by another friend who's a super smart director, Philippe Cyr, for a company I love. So like, yeah, that was the biggest acting challenge on this on stage. So yeah, yeah, it was wonderful.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah, and I was wearing a little like dress, a sequence dress. It was really, really fun.
Aw. And you get to
Yeah.
work with your friends too. That's such a special experience.
Yeah, yeah. It was great.
Another project I found was you co-created a play titled Patrice Balbina's Chance Encounter with the End of the World. That is a long title, which focuses on an immigration story through the eyes of an 11-year-old. And this was like a collaboration with multiple countries, correct?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Can you explain the importance of that story, especially with everything happening like in today's
Yeah.
society?
Yeah, the project started a few years ago, and it was Platform Shift. So it's a company in Germany, and they invited a company in Italy, one in Portugal, two in Canada, and one in Australia to participate. And then the one artist of each. It was like there was three different steps for the project, and then the last thing was inviting one artist of each company to meet in Sydney and in 14 days create something. And we had done a lot of interviews with people who had gone through having to leave their home behind because of war or other reasons. So we had all of these interviews that we had done in the past influencing the work. So we decided to create a play told mostly through movement and a little bit of text. And then there's 4 languages in the script in the play, and we're never naming what country the girl which country she's leaving and which country she's going to. So we really wanted to tell a story that anybody could connect to. And unfortunately, displacement is such a I don't want to say universal story because not everybody goes through it, but I feel like in different countries or a different time it happens, and right now it's happening, obviously, and we see it a lot on the news with what's happening in Ukraine. But a few years ago when we started that project, it was happening a lot. A lot of people were crossing the Mediterranean Sea, and then the companies in Italy, especially, they were receiving a lot of refugees, and that influenced a lot our piece as well. So, unfortunately, people having to leave their home behind is a story that keeps happening on like over and over again. Yeah. So I'm excited about the fact that this project, which was just supposed to be a one-off in Sydney, was invited back to different theater festivals, and we did it in Johannesburg in South Africa, and then we did it in Vancouver. We went back to Australia to do it, and we might do it again next year, but it's not confirmed. I can't say where, but so it's so great, yeah, because it's still relevant. It's definitely a relevant story. Yeah.
Fortunately, it'll probably be relevant for a long time.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of it is like a lot of it is like tableaus, like told through movement sequences. So people can see different things, in the imagery of it. So, yeah.
I believe I found a trailer of it on YouTube.
Yeah, there is a trailer of it on YouTube, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I do enjoy the choice of doing it through like a child's lens as well. I think it helps people connect with it too a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, but it
also a child's experience is so different from an adult's.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting. Like I had the same thought, Kaitlynn. Like when I was like watching the news, and then the producer in Germany was like, "Well, we might do it again next year." I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so relevant today, even though this was created like, so long ago. It's still relevant. It really is." Yeah.
So, with everything you've done in your career, do you have like a proudest moment besides Kaitlynn's dogs? Ruining this.
A proudest moment. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, Motherland is like top of my list of like, I'm very proud that I've been a part of this project, like extremely. Like it's the best thing that has happened in my career, and I believe that for sure. But then on the other hand, like if I was my younger self in 2008, graduating from acting school, and I would look at me today, I would think, oh, she made it. She's okay. But then I'm here today and I'm like, oh, I haven't made it yet. I have so much more to learn, so much more to grow. So I think I really see my acting as a vocation, and like I'm so dedicated to craft that I don't think I'll ever be done learning and wanting to do projects that are different and that are challenging to me. So I don't think I'll ever be done because this is the love of my life, like, and I have the chance to um to live in a time in a country where I I am able to pursue it. Not everybody has that luxury in life to be like, oh, I can go after my dreams. Well, I can. Well, and I'm so lucky, and I recognize that for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of acting school, you have a lot of formal training with graduating from Studio 58's acting program, and you've got your Bachelor of Arts. Do you think it's necessary for actors to have formal training, and do they usually?
I think for theater, they usually always have an acting school under their belt. For TV, it's a bit different, I think, because a lot of it on TV, I feel like, I don't know, you can play characters that are really close to who you are in real life. So I feel like on TV, younger actors maybe don't always have like a 3-year school program, and that's okay. But I feel like whomever you are, whatever you decide to do, if you do like a university degree, or if you do night classes, or if you just pick up a book and like dedicate yourself to your learning, I think if you are a true artist, you are dedicated to your craft, and you're going to come across you're gonna want to train yourself, you know what I mean? So I don't know, you don't not everybody has to follow the same way, because acting doesn't have one way to do it. So I feel whatever people have to do to get there is okay, and if that means, yeah, whatever kind of training it is, it's okay. Yeah. And I think
Awesome.
the difference between seeing acting as a job and acting as a craft is there. I think the artist who is excited about craft will want to train or expand or take classes with somebody new that challenges them, or just read that Meisner technique book, or something like that. But if you're looking at acting as a job to get, well, then that's different. Yeah.
I noticed that you have experience teaching acting workshops to children's and teens. I also have a bit of experience working with children in an acting musical theater capacity. And one of my favorite things was to see how much they grew and just learned so much, and they gained there's so much confidence. I was actually one of them who gained confidence from performing. What was your experience like with teaching?
Yes, you did a lot of really deep research, because I haven't taught for many years, but I did do it at the beginning where I would be invited in the classroom, and then I would teach, the whole class acting games for a little bit. So it was never in a context where students choose it as a class on the weekend or a class at night. Um, I think for some of them it was so wonderful to try something new, and because they don't take acting in school like they do with music or phys ed or whatever. I think it was really exciting for some of them to discover it. But yeah, yeah. I don't feel like I'm answering the question. Wait a sec. I think I would like to teach again personally, but I would like to do it in a context where people are choosing to be there, and they are really curious and courageous, and it takes a lot of courage to do anything in front of other people. And let it, like, it could be an acting game, it could be a monologue, whatever. It takes a lot of courage, and I I would like to work with teens or adults that have that courage and that curiosity about the craft. Yeah.
My dogs want to be let back in the room. Yeah, I love you. I love getting to learn so much about you.
Thank you so much.
I don't usually come into the interview. I mean, I have been recently, but I specifically asked to come in and ask you questions.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I'm getting less nervous to do these things. I was before, just because of so many things. But yeah, I really appreciate how fun of a conversation this is. Yeah.
Oh, that means everything to us. Thank you.
It means a lot to us because
it does.
We've been such big fans of your work in Motherland. So, like, it wasn't. It just was one of those roles that really captured us, and that's why, obviously, it grew bigger over the seasons. So. She's just such a character that you want to grab onto and know more about. So I'm glad we got the time with her that we have, but sad that we won't get, after season 3.
Yeah. I'm also very sad that this is coming to an end. I think many people are. And then at the same time, I recognize that we are so lucky to have been able to create this world with, the capacity that the network and that we've had, because like I'm very proud of the show. The production value is beautiful. The story is gorgeous. The acting is like fantastic. Like I'm watching it and I'm like, wow, they're so good, because a lot of the of the cast I haven't had the chance to do any scenes with, right? I would meet them at table reads and stuff like that over Zoom, but that's it. And then I'm watching their work and I'm like so in awe about everybody's work. So I'm very sad also, but I'm also I'm so grateful we had that chance to create that world at that level and with those people in this time frame that the network gave the creators. Yeah.
It's something I say a lot about Motherland, how it was a little bit of a perfect storm, just the right people at the right time in the right way. None of us would have met if it wasn't for Motherland, and I know a lot of other people in the community have that too, so it's just such a family now.
Yeah, and this is really heartwarming for me. I'm sure for other people as well, to see the fandom has become a family also to each other, and the connections that the fandom has created is just like, it's just so beautiful to see. And that's the power of art, is like to bring people together, right? And bring people together. And that's something I would never have imagined coming from the world of theater, where you meet your audience after the play because they clap you, because you chat. But like this whole online platform has given the opportunity for all these people to meet all over the world, people who like come from all different walks of life and all different backgrounds. And that's super inspiring. Like, I mean, what a gift. I think the best gift that to come out of Motherland is the show is beautiful, but like the community of the fandom is really heartwarming. Yeah.
And thank you for putting your heart and soul into creating Izadora and like being a part of this. Like everybody, it's very clear watching this that everybody that worked on it really did put everything into it, and it shows. So like, thank you for doing that. We're glad you got something out of it, but like, thank you for being a part of it.
Yay, thank you. Thank you so much.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all of our other episodes right here on YouTube. Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing and super gay content.
Until next time, stay safe and hydrate for lesbian Jesus.